Looks like everybody's joining in. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Rosalind Juergens. I am a thoracic oncologist at the Juravinski Cancer Center in Hamilton, Ontario, and I'm the medical advisory chair of Lung Cancer Canada. And it is my distinct honor to welcome each and every one of you on behalf of Lung Cancer Canada to our 12th annual Evening of Hope. So it's such a pleasure to get to see everyone come out tonight. This is our third virtual Evening of Hope. And so thanks to everybody for keeping everyone safe and yet finding us an opportunity to get together. We've got an amazing packed agenda for tonight. So we've got lots of things for you to look forward to over this next hour.
Right now, so if you're still wandering around and not on Zoom, please go over to the pink and
sorry guys, I've got my person still in Topia.
Follow the Zoom link that's on it and it should take you right to our Zoom presentation.
That's my bad.
Thank you.
We've got several speakers. We've got patient stories from across the country. Tonight is going to be a celebration of survivorship, and not only that, but dedication to those who we've lost this year. And this evening, really tonight, is dedicated to one of the most amazing patient advocates I've ever known, Jill Hammer Wilson. She passed away, unfortunately, yesterday, and the lung cancer community will be at a loss without her. She is just an amazingly passionate and well-respected person. She has worked with so many different groups trying to help forward the rights of patients with lung cancer, both with research, education, and awareness. So Jill, I know you're with us here tonight, and thank you for everything that you've done for lung cancer patients across the globe. We have received proclamations from several premiers and government officials, and if you've been wandering around in Topia, you should be able to listen to those. Those are also going to be available on our website. So if you haven't had a chance to check out any of those proclamations, please feel free. And actually all of the content on Topia, the videos, the letter proclamations, if you don't know the answers to the true truths and a lie in the trivia section, they'll all be available on our website after the event. I know we've been having some issues with the donation buttons. I'm hoping that that will get sorted here soon, but please do stop by our donation boxes across the Topia universe once our formal presentation is completed, because those dollars go to absolutely amazing places across the country to support patients with lung cancer. So to keep ourselves moving along, I would like to introduce our first speaker. It's my privilege to introduce Dr. Stephanie Snow. Dr. Snow is a medical oncologist at the QE2 Health Sciences Center in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and she is our current president of Lung Cancer Canada. Thank you, Stephanie, for everything that you do, and I'll let you give your presidential address.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ross. And thank you, everybody who has joined us here. I'm so happy to see everyone here tonight at this wonderful Evening of Hope. And as we've just heard, sometimes we have sad stories, and I'm so thrilled that we have been able to dedicate tonight's evening to Jill, but also to remember moving forward. We will continue to work very hard for all of our patients and their caregivers. This has been a very busy year at Lung Cancer Canada, and in fact, we're marking our 20th year as an organization in 2022. It's been a year of reflection. We've spent a long time planning for growth and making new collaborations, which we definitely decided as an organization was something that we wanted to focus on to make our shared goals of advocacy and patient support become real. Thanks to Dr. Paul Wheatley-Price, the immediate past president, we've had an ongoing stream of virtual content with webinars and podcasts, but we're also so excited to be moving back into our inpatient events. And they held the first local patient summit in Vancouver recently, since before COVID. And for those of you joining us from the Montreal area, they'll be having a live patient event coming up later this month. So mark your calendars for November the 24th. Of course, our virtual content will continue. And again, another date to put on the calendar will be December the 6th with another great virtual patient summit for everyone across the country to follow last year's great success. And again, something that's being headed up by Dr. Wheatley Price, and our current board member, Emmy, is integral in making that happen as well. Just a few days after the Montreal Summit, there is going to be the release of this year's Faces of Lung Cancer report, which I hope you will all have a chance to check out. As always, we have many stories of hope to share, and this year we have them both English and French. In addition to some great pieces on equity and disparity in lung cancer in Canada, in addition to a special review of the history of Lung Cancer Canada, celebrate the past 20 years that helps frame our way forward. From a research perspective, we continue with our Jeffrey Oger Memorial Research Awards, giving 2 awards this year. And tonight, I am thrilled to announce a new research initiative, the Lung Cancer Canada and Lung Ambition Award, which means that we will now have a further $100,000 available annually for at least the next 3 years to support lung cancer research in Canada. So we are absolutely thrilled to announce that. And hopefully in the next few years, you'll be hearing reports of some of the great work that's come from those supporting funds. Because as we all know, lung cancer is the most relevant cancer in Canada in terms of cancer deaths and incidents, but it is sorely underfunded. So we're thrilled to be able to put another little drop into the bucket. In keeping with the theme of partnerships, we know that being physically active is so important for those touched by lung cancer from a physical and a psychological well-being perspective. And LCC has been excited to continue partnerships with the National Excel and Local Access patient exercise programs. And as we'll hear soon from Tim Mons, the Give a Breath 5K continues to be a great and very successful fundraiser based in Edmonton that our organization is proud to continue to promote and support. Finally, we're making new partnerships with other patient advocacy and support groups as we work towards our common goals, including continuing our Stop Asking the Wrong Question collaboration with the Lung Health Foundation, just one of the collaborations we have with that group. We've also been collaborating with CARP, and we did an amazing webinar with their group recently to a very large audience to raise awareness and to launch Lung Cancer Awareness Month. And you can check out that webinar on the CARP website. And that was very special because we really managed to reach a lot of people who aren't directly touched themselves or their family members with lung cancer, but to really push for more advocacy for those who want to see lung cancer screening more accessible in their provinces. We also have other new and exciting partnerships forged with the Right to Survive and Cancer Action Now. So to close and to move on with our evening, I'd like to thank and acknowledge the sponsors that have made tonight's evening of hope possible, including our Hope Champions, who are Novartis, AstraZeneca, and Jazz, our Hope Ambassador, which is Roche, and our Hope Supporters, Bristol Myers Squibb and Merck. And so I will cause no further delay. We can jump into more of the content for what I think is going to be a great evening of hope. So again, lovely to see you all in person.
Thank you so much for that, Stephanie. Such exciting initiatives that have come up in this last year or two. So I am so excited to hear about the new announcements of the grant opportunities. This just builds on all the different things that Lung Cancer Canada has to offer. So I'm looking forward to introducing our first of several patient speakers tonight. So it's my pleasure to introduce Tim Mons. Tim is a stage 4 lung cancer patient. He's a retired school superintendent from Edmonton. He was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer all the way back in 2018, and he has been stable since that time, and congratulations to Tim for that. He has worked tirelessly as an advocate to raise awareness for lung cancer. Most notably, he is the lead in the yearly walk-run fundraiser called Give a Breath 5K. and his family has raised over $200,000 to support lung cancer initiatives. So Tim, I am looking forward to getting to hear what you have to say, and thank you for everything that you have done to support lung cancer awareness across this country.
A month earlier, they'd taken out the upper left lobe of my lung to remove a cancerous nodule. They confirmed it was stage 1 and got it all, but there had been some vascular invasion. Just to make sure, I would have to have a routine scan every 3 months for the next 2 years. 2 years to the day, at my routine checkup, I could tell something was different. The surgeon was spending more time chatting about our family and travel. I looked over at my wife, and we could both tell he was purposely taking his time before sharing the results. I can't describe my emotions as I walked out of the hospital that day. It was catastrophic. I attempted to tell our 4 children, but I couldn't speak. I had to leave the room as my wife shared the news. 11 nodules, likely stage 4. The diagnosis was confirmed with another surgery 3 months later to remove 2 of the nodules, and then the waiting began. I couldn't see an oncologist until I recovered from surgery, and I was left with no healthcare provider to speak with for 2.5 months. As I waited, and I wondering what treatments would look like, wondering how long I would have to live, wondering if my family would have to watch me die a terrible death. Everything I read on the internet described how horrific lung cancer was, and I was angry. I hadn't smoked, I was only 59, and it just wasn't fair. I had to become an expert researcher and search out everything for myself until eventually I was able to speak with another lung cancer patient. That conversation was the first glimmer of hope for my wife and I. To talk with someone who had been living well despite her lung cancer diagnosis began to change my mindset. That mindset was reinforced when I first met with my oncologist, and he never used the word terminal. He said it was non-curable, and I thought, okay, I guess I'll have to learn to live with this. A few months later, I was at a one-day event with Lung Cancer Canada to bring doctors and patients together. During a discussion, one doctor said, "We need more lung cancer patients to speak up." And one of the patients responded, "They're all dead. We're just starting to live and be able to speak up, but we need your help." Ever since that day, I decided to volunteer for many different projects to speak up for the 78% of people who don't survive lung cancer, and the 22% that still need support and research to thrive, not just survive. Over the past 4 years of living with stage 4 lung cancer, my hope and optimism has grown for myself and for others who are diagnosed with lung cancer in the future. I've learned to live with the constraints of treatment, and my goal is to remain in that 22% and to increase that number. I've never spoken the words terminal cancer, and I never will. I have chronic lung cancer, and I hope that my experiences will help everyone in the cancer care system speak with each other differently now and in the future.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I had to figure out what to do. Good evening. I'm pleased to join you to share my cancer story and share some of my Give a Breath story and how this has connected me to the lung cancer community. The video you just watched, Speaking Out, was made with Alberta Health Services for a project called PACES, the Palliative Care Early and Systemic Project. In a province where a wide team of researchers and knowledge end users are working together to implement evidence-based practices for delivering early palliative care. It focused on a pilot out of the Tom Baker in Calgary for stage 4 lung cancer patients. As patient advisors, we talk about it being supportive, not palliative, because of what palliative means to patients. The video they are using is the same one you saw. However, they also added questions at the end to be used with the medical community. Purpose being to understand patient perspectives and the importance of using the right vocabulary when speaking to patients. What doctors say and how it is said has a huge impact on our well-being. Making the video speaking out was quite difficult and difficult for my family to view. That said, if it helps move forward the agenda of greater care for cancer patients, then it's worth it. In 2018, 3 weeks after I retired, my surgeon shared that I had 11 new nodules. I was devastated. I had plans for retirement. After my second surgery in September of 2018, I met with my surgeon who explained the cancer had moved to other lobes of the lung, making me a stage 4 patient. That is what I feared. It was at this time I was referred to the Cross Cancer. At the meeting, I had a conversation with my surgeon about wanting to start a walk run for lung cancer to raise funds and awareness. My doctor was on board immediately, and he had research already underway for early detection. He might have thought I set my sights a little too high as we had to move quickly to have the first one in June of 2019. I discussed the idea of having a walk run with my wife, Patty, and our 4 children with their spouses. They were on board. I'm so fortunate to have such an amazing family. I could not have done this without them. The name Give a Breath was chosen. Our son Jevin designed the logo, and I began to approach sponsors to support the first event in 2019. Everyone I asked said yes. Of course, I chose people I knew and organizations I'd worked with as a CEO, superintendent of schools, believing they would jump on board, and they did. We worked with my doctor and partnered with the Royal Alexandra Hospital in Edmonton. They looked after registrations and we organized the event and found sponsorship funds. We were underway. First year, we brought in over $36,000 and we were excited. Then COVID hit. We'd planned to add a virtual component in 2020, but for the next 2 years, it had to remain virtual. Sponsorships continue to support the dream. This past year, we partnered with Lung Cancer Canada to begin a move to a national level, in person and virtually. As a family, we talked about this as a long-term goal. That was my dream, to have a national event for lung cancer similar to the one for breast cancer. Over the last 4 years, Give a Breath has raised over $200,000, which includes donations and sponsorship funds. With Lung Cancer Canada looking after registrations, helping with social media, letters, etc., we could move faster. We're proud to say that 100% of registrations and donations go to support lung cancer. This past year with the Lung Cancer Canada partnership, funds raised meant Airways of Hope was able to continue. It also meant that early detection research continues with now 55 participants on a trial, with a plan of going to 150 participants this next year. Give a Breath has given a purpose for me, a purpose for our family. We want it to be the change we wish to see in the world of lung cancer, to raise awareness, to help get rid of that horrible stigma, and work towards all lung cancer patients getting the same support, research, drugs as other cancers. It is time. Through Give a Breath, I met a number of other cancer patients and made connections I would not have been able to do otherwise. When one is diagnosed with cancer, especially lung cancer, we're pretty isolated. We need supports like some other cancers get. Unfortunately, they're not always there. We now have a lung cancer group in Alberta that meets via Zoom once a month with Elizabeth from Lung Cancer Canada. There's a group of us who connected because of our lung cancer, and a sign is up between Calgary and Edmonton. If you have a lung, you can get lung cancer. We advocated together for vaccines for all cancer patients. What I've learned is that advocacy can be seen in many forms, such as telling someone your story, supporting fellow patients, researching new studies and sharing them with others, or participating in events such as Give a Breath. Give a Breath connected me to Lung Cancer Canada, where I've sat in various committees. I've also been fortunate to connect with the Lung Health Foundation as an advisor, and most recently as a patient advisor for the Alberta Health Services Early Detection Screening Project for lung cancer. Also, getting to know the producer in Global Edmonton so that he can bring me on to talk about Give a Breath and lung cancer awareness. They're great. Give a Breath work has connected me to amazing people in the lung cancer community who have inspired me and my family. It's exciting to see others in Edmonton and Calgary start walking groups for lung cancer, for others to be in the news talking about recent events in Alberta that shook the cancer world here when it was declared we did it to ourselves. What I have learned is we can have a voice and we can push back at a provincial level for equity among cancer. Is it easy? No, it's not. But as my good friend said at a Lung Cancer Canada event a few years ago, when a doctor suggested we need to have a stronger voice as lung cancer patients, he got up and he said, many are dead. We're just starting to live now with the advancements of lung cancer. Give a Breath has opened the door for me to connect with so many amazing lung cancer patients who give hope, who give a lot of hope to me. It has allowed me to work side by side with organizations like Lung Cancer Canada who instill hope. And hope is a must. Every day I look at the sign in our living room when I get up. Today is a gift. I look forward to you joining us in person in Edmonton and in Ontario, or virtually on June 3rd, 2023 for Give a Breath at the national level. Thanks for inviting me to be part of this great evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Tim, that was fantastic. The video was spectacular and the speech was amazing. And thank you for the video with Global. I think that was great to get us on to the news and to get to hear your story and to feature Lung Cancer Awareness Month. So thank you for everything that you've done for lung cancer patients across this country. Well, let's move on to the next exciting part of our evening. I am absolutely looking forward to this. I now have the privilege of introducing Laura Floyd. So Laura is a comedian, former communications professional, almost lawyer, who was diagnosed with stage 3A adenocarcinoma of the lung back in 2020. She lives in Victoria, BC with her husband and child and their new dog, and they all fill her time with medical appointments and support groups and advocacy, and also stand-up comedy. So we've got a lung cancer patient who's going to give us some joy tonight. So Laura, thank you so much for being with us in our evening of hope.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Rosalind. Yeah, nothing like following the guy who talks about his 6 years of advocacy, planning nationwide events and raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I tell drunken strangers about the year that all my pubes fell out. So clearly we are equally inspirational, both Tim and I, as figures in this community. So I think if people are comfortable with it, it actually works a lot better if you unmute during a comedy show. Do you feel like using emojis instead? That's fine. If you're not in a place if you, like me, had to step out because you hadn't realized that we'd lost Jill, which is really awful news. And maybe some of us were caught off guard by that. And if you need some time and you want to go look at a cute animal or admire the sunset, totally cool. Do what you got to do. But if you're in a place where you feel like you could use some laughs, please go ahead and unmute yourself and share your video. And hopefully, I can bring some of the humor, because I think there's different coping strategies. Some people become inspirational figures and some people use jokes because it really sucks to be a lung cancer patient. It's really hard. It's hard, you guys. Having lung cancer, it's like losing the one perk that comes with being a cancer patient. There's not a lot of good stuff that happen when you're a lung cancer patient, but when you have cancer, it's like part of the social contract that people have to be nice to you. That's like a rule. It's like if you meet someone's baby for the first time, you have to say, "What a cute baby," even if that is the ugliest baby you have ever seen, right? It's part of the social contract. But you tell people, "Oh, I have a cancer of the lung," and you see the wheels in their head turning. They're like, "Oh, loophole. Oh, I found a loophole because you did this to yourself. I don't have to be nice to you. This is
I
self-inflicted,
didn't like it.
which, you know, first of all, that's,
How much did you see it?
oh,
3.
hello,
And it just, I don't know, like neither one of us could.
is that Darren?
Yeah.
Darren, you're having a lovely conversation. I hope it's a good one. I apologize for interrupting it.
My fault, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. This is fun. This is fun for me. I don't want to give you a hard time. I have to be nice to you because you're a cancer patient, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, Ben, but it's true. You see the people's faces, the expression changes from like, aw to oh. And I gotta say this, even with doctors, right? Even with medical professionals, they go in, I'm getting my quarterly scan and people are like, oh, must be a breast cancer patient. I'm like, no, they were always like this. And I say, oh no, it's lung cancer. You get that. Oh, because you're a smoker. And I mean, you know, in fairness to them, we all know that smoking is the only thing in this world that is in any way dangerous to anyone's health, which is why we all like judge, but nobody else ever does anything reckless ever. You know, that's why there are no such things as car accidents. Can you imagine car accidents? Can you imagine people being injured in accidents, being treated at our hospitals? Like you knew what you were getting into when you got into that car. Like, and now you want medical treatment? I don't think so. Nice try. Nice try. Oh man. It was a shock though. It was a shock getting diagnosed with lung cancer in my 30s. I still remember the ER doctor as I'm going home, he says to me, listen, when you get home, don't Google anything. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to go right to sleep, of course. I am going to put my head down and I'm going to rest like a baby. Thank you for the life-shattering news. That will cure my insomnia. Don't Google anything. Like, okay, I'll just call you at 3 a.m. with my questions then. If that's what I'll do. Don't Google anything. Like, what are you, a sex educator from Texas? Don't Google that. If you look at a boy, you get AIDS. It's true. Don't Google it. Oh man, you guys, doctors, I love doctors so much because they keep me alive. And also they're like weirdly flattering in that they treat me like I'm a lot smarter than I am. You know, they come and they'll say things to me and they'll say things like, oh, you have a malignant growth indicative of tumor characteristics. And I'm like, yeah, obviously I understand. Of course I know what that means. Just in case you don't know what that means, could you put that into, is that cancer? Is that what that is? That's what that is. Okay, I was just checking. Great. Okay, we're on the same page. My medical oncologist, when we started treatment, she says, okay, we're going to do chemoradiation with a platinum doublet. I'm like, yeah, I'll wear whatever you want. Sure. That's I mean, that sounds like something a Kardashian would wear to the beach, right? Him, and she's wearing the latest in platinum doublets. Good. I mean, I don't know if I can pull it off, but I'll try. You're the doctor, if that's what you think is best. Oh no, it's the ingredient. That's the ingredient in the chemo. And when I figured that out, I got really excited because I was like, wait a second. Okay, just so I understand this, you're going to infuse me with liters of heavy metal, and you're going to put me in a machine that shoots me full of radiation. Okay, I've seen this movie. I want to know when the superpowers kick in. Like, this is an origin story. I'm calling Marvel. I'm like, you guys have this great idea. Okay, it starts with this woman. She doesn't Google anything. She listens to her doctor. Yeah. Oh, I wish I did. Actually, I got one superpower out of the whole thing. It's the ability to locate the nearest bathroom at all times. Like some people are like, oh, I'm at that age. I can't trust a fart. I'm like, girl, I can't trust any orifice. I can't trust a sneeze. I can't
Nope.
trust a cough. There was
Nope.
this one time I was pretty horrifically betrayed by a yawn, which reminds me of my number one tip for chemo. Those of you who haven't done it, if you're ever unsure, if you're ever in doubt about which end to put over the toilet, it's always the rear. Trust me on
I
that.
was like, and
Oh, it was exciting. It was exciting. I had chemo radiation. So that was fun. And actually it did kind of make me feel like a rock star because now I have tinnitus and an expensive drug habit. Like just like me and Ozzy Osbourne, we're twinsies. Just like that. We probably own the same number of wigs too. But yeah, it's after that I had surgery, and the surgery went pretty well, except when I woke up, you know, you're like naked under a sheet, the harsh lights of reality shining on you. And the surgeon said everything went well, but we wound up taking out 2 lobes. Okay, bye. And I was like, wait, come back.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if there's any other type of surgery where they would take twice as much as they told you and then just leave it at that. Like, oh, I know we said that we were taking your left arm, but we took the right one too. See you later.
Jeez.
It was a little,
What's
I was
that?
a little like, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with his medical opinion. I just would have just liked a little more information is all I'm saying. It's all that
Yeah.
would have been nice. It's some information. They really leave us hanging. I feel a lot of the time, those cancer patients, they leave you hanging and they'll ask you questions, but they don't tell you why. I remember going to my first respirologist appointment. He had me fill out this form and it said, you know, smoking history, current smoker, how many packs, former smoker, how many, never smoker. And next to never smoker in brackets, it said 100 or fewer cigarettes.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is an interesting definition of never.
That's right.
Like if you're on a date with someone and they're like, oh, I've never had sex. Just 99 times. I'm still waiting for the 100. But yeah, I'm a virgin. One of those virgins. Because it's a suspiciously round number to me, is all I'm saying. If I was an auditor and you put that on your tax form, I'd be like, 100, huh? Exactly 100? That's where the line is drawn. I'm not doubting you. I'm not a scientician here, but like, I just like you to show your work. Oh man.
Oh.
Yeah, the information's hard to get. It's hard to get information from people. Sometimes it's hard to get your own medical information. I don't know what it's like in other provinces. In BC, if I want to get my own medical information, I have to fill out a form. I have to fill out that form under the full moon and attach 3 enchanted objects that I have gathered from a protected area and include all of my baby teeth and seal it with my own blood. And then you submit it and you go, 7 to 10 weeks, baby, here I come. They say it's for privacy reasons. They say, oh, we're protecting your privacy. It's for we're protecting your private medical information from you. Okay. Okay, guys. If you care so much about protecting my privacy, how come every time I check in at a medical clinic, it's like you're running an identity theft on me? It's like, yeah, and what is your name? And what is your mother's maiden name? And your date of birth? And the name of your favorite elementary school teacher? And your doctor's name? And no, I don't need your health number. That's everything. Thank you very much. Oh gosh. I think I've probably run out of time here, but I appreciate so much being here. I know you had a big roster to choose from for lung cancer comedians, so better luck next year, Kathy Griffin. All right, she'll bounce back. But yes, my name is Floyd, and if you want to sign up for my newsletter, please go ahead and send me an email with your name and your date of birth, your mother's maiden name. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Lung Cancer Canada.
Hey.
Bravo.
Oh my goodness.
That was
That was
good.
fantastic, Laura. Thank you so much for bringing us some extra joy tonight. We really appreciate the laughs. My cheeks hurt now from smiling for the last 15 minutes. So that's always a good sign that you were hilarious. So thank you so much for that, everyone. Thanks to all for joining in and turning your cameras on and unmuting so that it felt a little bit more like normal. So thanks to everybody for participating. Okay, moving on to our next patient story. So it's my pleasure to introduce Gerald Green. So Gerald was diagnosed in the winter of 2019, just before the pandemic. Gerald is a stage 4 lung cancer patient. He's a husband and father of 4 children in Stellarton, Nova Scotia. He's a lawyer, and as a lawyer, his days of practicing law have since been replaced with lots of physical activity and being an avid outdoorsman. So I'm looking forward to hearing your story, Gerald. Thanks so much for coming and joining us tonight.
Thank you, Rosalind. I'll have to ask everybody to indulge me. I've been hit with a cold just in the last couple of days, so I'm very stuffed up, and my voice obviously isn't great. But I will give this a go nevertheless. I think they say something about not following a comedian on an agenda of events, but I'll give it a go here. So let me begin by thanking Lung Cancer Canada for asking me to share my story with you this evening. I truly believe that everyone's cancer journey is different, and I share mine with you very humbly and mindful of that, because I feel that in many ways to this point, my story has been one of luck. In fact, when Dr. Snow asked me to do this, my first reaction was, I don't think I can do that, because I was scared my luck would run out. But I'm here in the hope that my story will give someone out there hope and faith in the power of never giving up. I was diagnosed in February 2019 with stage 4 lung cancer, a tumor in my right lower lobe with metastasized sites in my spine, hip, rib, and lymph nodes. I was almost 53. I thought quite healthy. I was very active, played hockey, ran a lot, never smoked, ate well, did all the right things, I thought. But nevertheless, here I was. Well, actually, here we were. My wife, Heather, who's beside me right now, and our 4 kids, who were 17, 15, 12, and 10. Quite shattering, really, and very scary for all of us. But we were given some hope back then by Dr. Stephanie Snow, who felt there was a good chance I had a type of cancer for which there's some favorable treatments. So I went through a couple of biopsies, and eventually it was determined I was ALK positive. I started on crizotinib in April 2019. And other than a few relatively minor side effects, I started feeling better very quickly. My scans showed that the drug was having a positive impact on the disease. And fortunately, that lasted for some time, up until October of 2020, actually. That was when, through my regularly scheduled scans, it was determined that the disease had spread to my brain. Where, I asked. Sprinkled throughout, I was told. Why did that happen? I asked. The drug you were on doesn't work well to protect the brain. Is there a drug that will do that? Yes, but it wasn't available to you when you started your treatment. Is it available to me now? You don't have insurance coverage for that drug. So we went through a period of uncertainty, but eventually through her diligence, Dr. Snow was able to get me into a study looking at the comparative effectiveness of alectinib and brigatinib, both of which worked on the brain. I was put on team brigatinib. That was actually unlucky. I didn't respond well to brigatinib, both in terms of side effects and the overall effectiveness of the drug. The sprinkles had disappeared, but by March 2021, it was determined that I had developed leptomeningeal disease, which is essentially when cancer cells migrate to the cerebral spinal fluid. Effects on me included balance issues, significant slurred speech, just overall diminished functionality, to the point of being awake often for only small portions of my days. I have very little recollection of April and early May of 2021, and I lost over 40 pounds. The prognosis for leptomeningeal disease is not good.
Google it.
Yeah, you can Google it, that's right. We're talking in terms of months now, and we were told the grim news and to prepare for the worst, which of course we had to share with our kids. Very devastating. In the same appointment, when we were having these conversations, Dr. Snow advised us that there's a new third generation ALK TKI called leratinib. There's no evidence that it will work on leptomeningeal disease. But she put my name into a Pfizer compassionate care program. I was accepted in their last spot. She handed me a prescription to go to the local Pfizer office to pick it up that day. And she handed me the prescription. And she handed me the prescription slip. I don't know if she remembers this or not, but she looked at me and said, I don't know if this will work. I'll never forget that. That was May 17th, 2021. We went home and told her family, not good news, but we have this new medication. So we have some hope. And we persevered, we never gave up. And slowly but surely, my health improved. My appetite returned. I gained my weight back, and then some. My balance and speech improved. My energy came back. My skin's been clear. I started exercising again. And now regularly, I participate in the Excel program that Dr. Snow mentioned earlier, and actively participate in spin classes and do some running and weightlifting. More importantly, it's meant endless, countless drives with my kids here and there. Family fires, hockey, baseball and volleyball games, high school and college graduations, driver's licenses, a wonderful, unforgettable trip with my wife to Greece, and all of the millions of things that go on every day that we take for granted that I now try so hard not to. I simply feel lucky because I have, to a large extent, I have my life back, or at least a chance to live a bit longer. So maybe it's impossible to try to make any sense of this. I think that's why I say I feel lucky, because in so many ways, that seems to be the underlying factor throughout my cancer story. Lucky for the advances that have been made and continue to be made, that have made my experience certainly different than if I had been diagnosed even 3 years earlier. Lucky for the quality and care and expertise I've received from Dr. Snow and others. Lucky to have had access to the drugs that keep me alive. And most importantly, lucky for the support I've received from my community, my family, my friends, and most importantly, my wife and family. I hope my story resonates with some of you, gives you a reason to continue to persevere, to battle, and to not give up hope. It's the best thing we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that touching story. I know the physicians on the line know what leptomeningeal disease means, and it's a testament to your perseverance and to the good care of Dr. Snow that you're with us here today. That's absolutely amazing, and should teach each and every one of you to never give up, right? There are new treatments on the horizon, and that's why we do what we do. So thank you for that inspiration, Gerald. Speaking of inspiration, our next speaker is one of the newest members of the LCC family, Elizabeth Deverston Bose. Elizabeth is a registered social worker from Winnipeg, and she's working with LCC spearheading the Airways of Hope program. Elizabeth holds a master's of social work degree from McGill University. She previously worked as a psychosocial oncology clinician at Cancer Care Manitoba within the thoracic group. And she's gonna speak to us today about Airways of Hope. So thank you so much, Elizabeth, for joining us this evening.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Yeah, my name is Elizabeth, and I am the social worker here with LCC. And it's been such a wonderful year. I think last time that we all gathered, or one of the last times that we gathered in this way, we launched the Airways of Hope program. And I'm really excited to give you kind of an overview of where we've come from and where we went this past year, and also where we're going moving forward. So Lung Cancer Canada, as you all know, probably has long recognized the impact of lung cancer and believes that patients and their loved ones really do need that additional support to address the complex and unmet needs that lung cancer brings into people's lives. So that's where the Airways of Hope program was born. The purpose of the program really is like multifaceted, but when it comes down to it, it really is all about providing the emotional and practical support. It's about providing guidance in the area of assessment, treatment, and navigation, and that advocacy support that's really, really pivotal for folks when they need it. And then at the end of it all, it's really about opportunities for connection with other patients, with caregivers, and with resources that are out there that people might not know about. But having that opportunity to learn about it and connect is really at the crux of what we do. So, again, at the center of everything that we do are the patient voices and the voices of their loved ones as well. We've conducted numerous surveys throughout this past year. So if you're a patient, you may know exactly what I'm talking about. We love our surveys, but we've really, really wanted to hear what patients have to say in terms of what it is that they need, what their interest is, and also the impact of our program. And we're always returning to this feedback and using it really as our guiding light to improve the services and supports that we're offering. So again, if you're a patient here, thank you for giving us your feedback. If you've participated in that, it really does make a huge difference. And our guiding principles come from evidence-based clinical practice guidelines from the Canadian Association of Psychosocial Oncology, as well as CPAC, the Canadian Partnership Against Cancer. And the guidelines that both of those organizations have provided really help us to assure that we're building an equitable and sustainable psychosocial oncology program. So to kind of think about the year that we've just had, the initial goals of the Airways of Hope program included to provide that psychosocial and navigation support to patients and their loved ones, to launch a national monthly support group, and to conduct an environmental scan of current psychosocial oncology programs and services that are available to patients and their families all throughout Canada. So a snapshot of some of the, I guess, kind of quantifiable numbers. And Julia, you can just turn to the next slide too, if you'd like. Thank you. So we've provided over 175 one-on-one direct counseling sessions to patients, caregivers, loved ones, whomever might have needed that support. We've been here to provide that. We launched our national patient support group in March that happens every month. And a little plug for that group, it's the third Wednesday of every month at 1:00 p.m. Eastern time. And then we also facilitate the monthly Alberta support group, as Tim mentioned. We also offer support as needed to groups in BC and Ottawa, and sometimes Winnipeg as well. And we also launched a new educational webinar series, which has been really fun. We launched that in July, and it happens on a bi-monthly schedule, so every other month. And the really neat thing about that is that it's an hour long, but the first part of that webinar is a presentation that's recorded. So those 3 webinars that we've already done, they can actually be found on the Lung Cancer Canada website under resources and videos. So for people who can't join that particular date or just come across it at some point, it's living on the Lung Cancer Canada website, which is really great. And as I mentioned too briefly, we also have been engaging in quality assessment and improvement measures, really in an effort to make sure that we're providing really relevant resources and support that that the patients and families are needing. And then another part of that, the goals from this past year, was again to complete that environmental scan. And as a very brief snapshot of that document that was created, really the findings revealed from that environmental scan major discrepancies in psychosocial oncology services all across Canada, which isn't surprising. But those discrepancies in large part came from what appears to be geographical barriers, as well as a variance in services available. So as I mentioned, there are standards of psychosocial care that do exist, but in reality, the programs and services that are available all across Canada are very different. So the findings, again, were unsurprising, but it was really helpful to have that kind of snapshot this past year of what we're looking at. And kind of where we can go from there. And as one could guess, this has led to major inequities in psychosocial healthcare all across Canada. So when we think about the year ahead, at the heart of everything that we do in the Airways of Hope program is really the desire to help those impacted by lung cancer. And that environmental scan highlighted, I think, the unique position that we're in as an organization at Lung Cancer Canada to really connect and collaborate with other healthcare providers, with community organizations, and most importantly, with patients and their circles of support. And again, the goal really is to help reduce the impact of lung cancer in whatever ways that we can. And of course, with intentional planning and targeted interventions, I think we really can help to reduce the barriers and at the forefront to provide equitable psychosocial oncology care for lung cancer patients and their circles of support. We know that we can't fix the problem, but we can certainly be a part of the creative solutions that are absolutely needed. So in the spirit of connection and collaboration, we've got some really exciting initiatives and projects planned for the upcoming year. So a part of our approach will be a continuation of program objectives. So just continuing to offer that one-on-one support, that group support, the advocacy and navigation support. But some of the new plans also include some support for caregivers, which is really needed. And we're also offering focus groups for patients and caregivers as well. So again, in that hope and with the desire to offer opportunities to connect with one another, but also to really understand what it is that patients and the caregivers need, that's the goal of those focus groups. We're also hoping to have an opportunity to connect with other psychosocial oncology clinicians like myself to again come together to hear what people are doing, what best practices are, and really to offer that opportunity for collaboration. So really looking forward to that plan coming up. And then we have some plans for 2 new potential groups for patients. One is a narrative support group, so all about talking about a patient's own story with lung cancer, how they're making meaning of it, and how they have processed it, and how they're integrating that into their life and what that means. And then we're also thinking about another group that is looking all about moving forward after a lung cancer diagnosis. What does that entail? What does life look like once a diagnosis has been given? So offering that opportunity to really focus on overall health and wellness, that's some of the stuff that we have coming up. I'm often asked about what I hear from people, and Dr. Paul Wheatley Price was just asking me earlier this evening about, some inspiring stories. And I think tonight, hearing from the people who we've heard from so far, that's the inspiration that I get to experience on a weekly basis. And I feel so, so lucky to hear those stories. And I want to take that moment to acknowledge that and to share that with all of you, because without events like this, without the support of all of you, this program wouldn't be here. And it absolutely is impacting people's lives. And, one of the most overwhelming responses is just how beneficial the support is in helping people to cope with the impacts of lung cancer. And I feel really proud and confident in the program that we're building, knowing that we are absolutely patient-centered and evidence-based. And this is what will help us to continue to build a program that will be here for hopefully decades more, and to offer that support that is absolutely needed. So I look forward to engaging with many of you here tonight, together, knowing that we can continue to create an equitable and accessible and patient-centered program. So thank you very much. And I look forward to connecting with you all in the year to come.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. It is mind-blowing how much you have accomplished in the short time that you have been working with us at Lung Cancer Canada. And I know each and every patient and caregiver that you have worked with are grateful of the opportunity to have had the experience of your guidance. So thank you again for the amazing Airways of Hope program that you have built from scratch. Well, we're coming to the end of the formal program for today's event. So on behalf of Lung Cancer Canada, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. I know we're taking time away from your loved ones and family, and I want you to remember that you've got loved ones and family here at LCC. I want to once again thank our sponsors, our three Hope champions, Novartis, AstraZeneca, and Jazz, our Hope ambassador, Roche, and our Hope supporters, Bristol Myers Squibb and Merck. So thanks to each of those sponsors for tonight's event. I want to thank all of our speakers, absolutely just incredibly moving speakers. So I couldn't have done this tonight without the supports of Dr. Snow, Tim Mons, Laura Floyd, Gerald Green, and Elizabeth DeVerstens-Bose. So thank you to each and every one of you. I want to thank the LCC staff. They have been working tirelessly to bring all of these events to each and every one of you. So if you come across one of our LCC staff members, Julia, Michelle, Winky, Shem, please make sure to thank them for all their hard work that they've put into having all of these events come together. I want to thank each and every person who has donated or raised money for our events. You're going to see here that we're not done. It's only the middle of the month, so we are just getting ourselves going with respect to events. We've got a bang up November 24th. So celebrating Thanksgiving in the United States, we're going to be thankful here in Canada with the Giving a Breath of Hope to Ontarians with Lung Cancer in person at Queen's Park. We're going to be doing our advocacy between 8 and 9:30 a.m. And then that evening, there is an event in Montreal in French. So that's something we're really looking forward to. The following week, we've got our stakeholder briefing. It's going to be online through Zoom, and each and every one of you are welcome to join us, and you'll see me there on November 29th. And then again, we've got our 20th anniversary virtual patient summit that's going to happen through Zoom on December 6th. between 5 and 7 p.m. So we're really looking forward to all of these events that are coming up over the next few weeks. So at this point, we can go back to our socializing in Topia if you've got the time. So just go straight back to that link there. We're also going to be putting it in the chat box here in a minute, but it's https://topia.io/LCC. There it is. Thank you, Michelle, for throwing that in there. This has been an absolutely great event. So thanks to everyone for attending, and hopefully I'll see you back. I'm going to cheers. Oh, you can't see it with my little background. That's a very sad looking glass of wine there. So bring your glass of sparkling or your glass of wine, and I hope to see you back in Topia. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you in the virtual world.